Death Meter, where survival is not guaranteed and bad decisions come with a heavy price. In this nightmare fueled journey, we're dissecting the choices of the doomed souls from 28 weeks later. Every scream, every stumble, every foolish step brings them closer to their grisly fate. On a scale from 1 to 10, we'll measure how much of their own decisions sealed their fate. Did they ever stand a chance, or were they destined to be eaten from the start? Let's start off with Don. I'm also going to include his wife in this section because she's barely in the movie and there's not a lot to say about her. The first dumb choice is the collective decision for them to cook. The smoke is what attracts the kid to their house. They should have at least waited until dark, but to be honest, they should have just eaten that shit cold and not risked it. I know that most people think opening the door for the kid was a dumb move, but I actually don't think it mattered. Once the kid started screaming and banging on the door, the zombies were coming whether they left him outside or not. You could argue that if they left the kid outside once the zombies got him, if they stayed quiet, maybe they would not have tried to get in the house. Even if that is the case, once they're done with the kid, if the smell of the food didn't bring them inside, they would have to stay quiet for no telling how long. With nothing to draw the attention of the zombies outside, we can't say for how long they would have lingered. The margin for error is basically zero. Any noise is going to attract them. One sneeze, a creaky floor, maybe somebody bumps into something, or hell, even if someone farts too loud, it could bring the zombies crashing through the wall like the fucking Kool-Aid man. We all know how the Brits love their beans. Once the zombies were inside, the only option is to run away as fast as they can. They don't have any guns, so fighting isn't really an option. The wife upstairs wastes time looking for the kid, and she gets cut off by one of the zombies. Dawn actually makes the smart choice here and leaves her dumbass. Like I just said, fighting is not an option. Even if he could somehow kill this zombie without getting bitten, scratched, or even getting some of its blood in his eyes or mouth, they still would have been screwed. Dawn barely made it to the boat when he left right away, so much later and they would have been caught and killed. I would also like to know how the hell Alice survived this. I know she's immune to the virus, but how did these zombies not beat her to death? Aside from the death virus flowing through her veins, her injuries are pretty minor. Anyways, once the military scooped her up, there was no more decision making for her, so we only have her performance at the house to judge. The cooking that drew the child to the house was dumb, even if they had gotten away with it up until that point. And as dumb as it was, wasting time trying to find the kid, I can understand it. It would be pretty difficult to leave the child behind like that, so I will cut her a little slack and give her a 7 out of 10 on the death meter. As for Don, he shares the responsibility for the cooking, and I definitely give him props for leaving his wife like that. His performance getting out of the house and making it down to that boat was pretty fantastic. His dumbest decision is kissing his wife after she was found. When we look at how fast the zombies turn in this movie, it's pretty damn fast, so maybe he thought she just wasn't infected. But still, they have her quarantined for a reason, maybe err on the side of caution on this one. So for this extremely dumb decision, I'm going to give him an 8 out of 10 on the death meter. This is definitely a 10 out of 10 retard choice, but I'm giving him a couple of points for abandoning his wife. Next, I'm going to briefly cover the general. At week 11, the United States military showed up, and by week 28, apparently they had eradicated the rage virus and repaired enough of the damage done to begin bringing in survivors. Yeah, I find that hard to believe. This is way too early to be bringing in people. I wouldn't put that entirely on the general though. Most likely that wasn't his decision. But what I will place on him is his god-awful security choices. Like the extremely stupid decision to give the fucking maintenance man a security badge that unlocks every door in the facility. Also, there was not a single soldier down here guarding a known infectious person for a virus that just wiped out an entire country in a matter of weeks. I also want to mention that the two kids managed to sneak out of this so-called secure area with pretty much no trouble. They find their mother hiding out in the attic of their house, which also shows that the military has not cleared out all of the buildings and have not eradicated the virus from London. They are lucky that neither of the kids got infected here and managed to get Alice, who has an immunity. This little mishap should have been a wake-up call that they needed to tighten up security. Once Don murders his wife and the rage virus is spreading, again, the containment procedures they have in place are very stupid, and it is no surprise that it doesn't work. They try moving thousands of people into containment bunkers. This is a bad idea. If one infected person gets into the room with them, the virus will start spreading like wildfire. They have nowhere to go, they're just trapped in there with them. Having everyone quarantine in their own rooms and wait for the military to clear out the infected would have been a much better option. Of course, the people caught outside of their rooms might be screwed, but hey, that's how it goes sometimes. As for the general, he was in charge of this shit show, so leaving Alice completely unguarded, with no security cameras, and a janitor with a badge that gives him access to her is really unforgivable. So he gets a 10 out of 10 on the death meter. Next up is Sergeant Doyle. He convinces our merry band of survivors to leave right away instead of waiting till sunrise. This is definitely the right move. Zombies are not the only thing they have to worry about. They also have to get out of the city before the military starts firebombing the entire place, so finding somewhere safe to hide from the infected is not really an option. As they are moving out of the city, a rooftop sniper pops off a couple of extras.
Multiple shots, one hit. He's panicked and no marksman.
I don't know, he seemed like a pretty good shot to me. I think he's just trying to convince this guy to be his bait so he can take out the sniper, but he's too scared and doesn't want to do it. Shit, I don't blame him. The way he sniped that mirror out of his hand, this guy definitely would have dome shotted him the second he stuck his head out. He doesn't have Andy's plot armor. They make it to the park where Flynn is supposed to pick up Doyle, but he's being a little bitch about taking the rest of the group. He does mow down the horde that's chasing them and gives our group a chance to escape at least. While they are trying to make it to the next LZ for Flynn to pick them up, they get cut off by nerve gas and take shelter in this car. Unfortunately, the car's battery is dead, so Doyle gets out to push it so they can jumpstart the car, getting torched in the process. He could have gunned down the guys with the flamethrowers, but he probably would have died from the gas anyways. I don't think there was any way he could have gotten out of this. If he stayed in the car, the soldiers might have torched the vehicle, but even if they didn't and just passed them by, the car is not airtight, the gas would have gotten them eventually, so he still would have had to get out and push to jumpstart it. Doyle's only mistake is not being selfish. If he would have chosen not to help the others escape and just met Flynn at the park by himself, he would have gotten on the chopper and lived. I'm going to give him the best score I've ever given someone so far, and that is a 2 out of 10 on the death meter. Alright, let's cover Flynn, the asshole helicopter pilot, next.
We've confirmed sightings of infected that have escaped the firebombing.
Give me an ETA.
About 60.
Minutes?
No. Seconds.
You know, if they only have a minute until zombies are on top of them, maybe get to the fucking point. When he meets them at the park, he should have just picked them all up instead of wasting time arguing about it. The rage virus turns someone in a matter of seconds. If any of them were infected, he would know it. As cool as his little trick with the helicopter blade to mow down the horde was, it does not give him any redemption whatsoever. He would not have needed to do that if he just picked them up in the first place. It almost got himself killed, and he did end up killing the others. He also did not warn them about the gas that he most definitely would have seen cutting them off from the LZ. And landing in this stadium like this and completely shutting down the helicopter was also a big mistake. If zombies had found him, there is no way he would have gotten the chopper going in time before they got to him, which would have been karma for getting everyone killed. For his piss poor performance, I'm going to give him a 9 out of 10 on the death meter. I would have given him a 10, but he did survive the movie. The general did too, but he got a lot more people killed and he was never in any life or death scenarios. We can only hope that Andy infected him somehow. Next, let's go over Scarlet. She is a medical officer in the US Army who, upon Alice's discovery, finds that she is infected with the rage virus and has some kind of natural immunity. She suspects that her children could also carry this genetic immunity and prioritizes their survival above all else. She does get clipped by the sniper, but it ultimately doesn't play a factor in her death. When they are in the car, she happily accepts Doyle's sacrifice so her and the kids can escape. As they are driving, a helicopter shows up and starts shooting at them, and conveniently misses every shot. In reality, this helicopter would have taken them out pretty much instantly. It's some Hollywood magic that keeps them alive. What is with the helicopter pilots in this movie? There is no reason to shoot at them. Zombies don't drive cars, so they had to know that they were not infected. Scarlet drives into a tunnel to get away from them, which is pretty much the only thing she could do. When they get down into the tunnel, Scarlet is behind them, directing them where to go with the night vision scope. I don't think she could have picked a worse way to do this. If she's going to scream every time they step in the wrong direction, just turn the damn flashlight on so everyone can see. It will draw less attention. She's also flagging them constantly with this loaded rifle, probably with her finger on the trigger. It's a wonder she didn't accidentally gun one of them down. Of course, the kids end up falling down the escalator since they can't see shit, and they somehow get separated. Now would be a good time to turn the flashlight on. She continues looking for the kids using the scope to see. When zombie Don comes out of nowhere and attacks her, she basically stood no chance. He rips the gun away from her and bashes her face in. If she would have turned on the flashlight, maybe she would have seen Don coming and blew his brains out, keeping herself alive and Andy from getting infected. I won't fault her for prioritizing the kids, since she thinks their immunity could save the human race from the virus. She did fine, I guess, when she was following Doyle's lead, but her performance down in the tunnel was not very good. So I'm going to give her a 6 out of 10 on the death meter. She wasn't a complete moron, just lacks survival skills. Finally, let's go over the kids, Tammy and Andy. They were lucky enough to be on a school trip to Paris during the initial outbreak. After making their dad relive leaving his wife behind, they decided it's a good idea to sneak out of the secure area to explore the restricted area. After snagging a scooter, they drive to their home before the outbreak. While there, Andy comes across their mother and is pretty much immediately found by the military. Tammy and Andy are being held in another quarantine area when the soldier that was with them comes back as a zombie. They're lucky that Scarlet decided to come and get them, or they were royally screwed. While they were trying to get to one of the bunkers, Andy gets separated from them by the crowd. While in one of these quarantine bunkers, Andy comes across his dad. It's hard to call these secure bunkers when one zombie easily pushes through these doors. Lucky for Andy, he is small and can slip in between these people. He's able to climb into the air duct to escape the horde, but for some reason he decides to come out in the middle of this nightmare. I would have just stayed in the relative safety of the air duct. He is just lucky that Doyle takes out a zombie before it rips him to shreds. When the group gets pinned down by the sniper, Andy takes off running to be the decoy for Doyle. If he didn't have plot armor, that sniper would have definitely killed Andy. I can't really fault him too much for this. If they stood around arguing much longer, they would not have escaped the area before the entire place gets firebombed, and I don't think this guy was going to voluntarily be the decoy, so it probably was up to Andy to do it. Down in the tunnels with Scarlet, once they fell down and got separated, they should have gotten up and yelled at her dumbass to turn the flashlight on so that they could all see. Normally, I would not advise yelling as it draws too much attention, but that ship has sailed already. They made a ton of noise screaming when they fell, and Scarlet was continuing to scream for them anyways. By the time Scarlet had found Tammy, it was too late. Dawn was already behind Scarlet, ready to bash her brains in. She could have checked for a pulse though. She might have still been alive. I mean, it didn't look like there was too much damage done to her face. I will give Tammy some credit though. She did manage to ice her old man when she came across him, but dropping the gun afterwards was pretty stupid. She had no idea that Andy was going to be immune, and other zombies could have shown up. They managed to make it to the helicopter and are flown to safety so Andy can spread the virus and end the human race. They did make a bunch of dumb decisions, but they also made some good ones. I'm also going to cut them some slack for being children and give them a 4 out of 10 on the death meter. They were naive, but not outright suicidal. And that wraps up this edition of the Death Meter. Some of these poor souls never stood a chance, while others sealed their own fate with some truly next-level stupidity. What do you think? Did I judge them fairly, or would you have given them a different score? Let me know in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit the like button. It really helps the channel grow. And if you want to see more breakdowns of bad horror movie decisions, subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next Death Meter. And remember, always look out for number 1.